Good morning.
Good morning.
Today's scripture reading is from James chapter 2, verses 14 through 18. What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, be warm and filled," without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So also, faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. But someone will say, "You have faith, and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I will show you my faith by my works."
Good morning. Welcome to our celebration of 15 continuous years of mission trips. Julie brought it to my attention this summer that the congregation doesn't hear a lot about the mission trip when we get back. So here we are. And we hope you understand all that goes on during the mission trip and what we take away from it. It starts with preparation and fundraising with the parents and the youth. I'd like to invite Heidi Hastings to come forward. Heidi is a parent of 3 kids who have all participated or are about to participate, and unfortunately she doesn't get to go with us. Heidi, what is your take on all of this?
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the mission trip experience from the perspective of parents who have been a supporter of the mission trips, been a donor to the mission trips, and have had their child or children go on the mission trips, but have not gone on one of these mission trips themselves. As we know, we're all very fortunate to live in this area of the world. We have comfortable homes that are full of modern conveniences and have enough money that we don't even have to think about food or clothing. Forget it. Let's admit it. We don't even really have to think about those things. We take them for granted. We generally don't think twice about buying our groceries, shopping for a new pair of shoes, and sometimes splurging on a movie or jumping into our car and going out to dinner. And of course, our kids live this comfortable life with us. And when our kids seem unappreciative for all they have and enjoy, we parents remind them that there are many less fortunate. But we also know that we can talk forever about the poor, the needy, and the homeless. But when you're living your day-to-day comfortable life, it really is difficult to truly understand someone else's hardships. So when our kids go on these mission trips to some of the poorest places in our country, they see that difference. They meet the people whose house they helped build. And then, and only then, I think, do they truly get it. Our 2 sons who have gone on the mission trips have come home and shared stories and experiences with us after each trip. I'll never forget our oldest child, Kyle, telling me about a man in Kentucky whose house Kyle helped build. Kyle actually worked side by side with that man, hammering and sheetrocking, and got to learn a little bit more about this man's particular situation. I know Kyle had a fun time with his friends and the adult leaders on the trip. I know they played some games and went on some hikes in between all the work. But I could tell that Kyle's experience with that man was the most meaningful part of the trip for him. We have a lot of discussions around our house about nature versus nurture. I know nature is a big component of who we are. We're hardwired with our parents' DNA. But I also believe that nurture the kids receive, the things we parents and this church teaches them, and the experiences we give them is very impactful in shaping their perspectives of the world we live in. One of my favorite quotes is, "Your actions speak so loud, I can't hear what you're saying." So, speaking on behalf of all of us parents, we donate to these mission trips. We pay to send our kids on these mission trips. We attend the fundraisers, we make the cookies, we buy the cookies, we make the pies, we buy the pies, we attend the Roman holiday dinner, we donate the auction items for the Roman holiday dinner, and we do this not just because it's a fun road trip for them, but mainly because we believe that it will open their eyes more, it will broaden their minds, and open their hearts in a new way, far more than our words could ever do.
Thank you, Heidi. You almost made it. Yesterday, she had a tough time. And I feel like we don't really need to go on. She really said it, but we are going to. Over the years, there are several parents like Heidi who are not able to go with us. Those parents who do go often continue after their kids are too old because they have gotten something out of this trip all on their own. There are other adults who go on this trip that don't have any kids. They just go because they love the experience. Many lifelong friendships develop among the kids, whether they go to our church or the same school or not. But I got to tell you, it's true for us adults as well. Lasting relationships. There are the three amigos, Chuck, Sean, and La. The Scrabble ladies, myself, Sue, Linda, and Joanna, who started playing Scrabble on a van ride many years ago, and meet about once a month ever since. Yeesh, a fond nickname given to Dave Fitch by the kids. And this past year, there were 3 young people who went on the trip while they were in high school, who now have joined us as adults. Brittany, Amanda, and Steve may someday be the ones to take over and keep this ministry alive. These lasting friendships are a great product of the mission trip. This year, we traveled long hours in vans, shared living quarters, made meals for each other. We built handrails, fixed other people's mistakes, put up soffits, cleaned, painted, put up drywall, laid a floor, and even did some landscaping for people that we didn't even know, people who needed our help. Each year, I tell the kids, I don't ask, to put their thoughts and their experiences down in a journal. And I put together with pictures, and I give it to them each year as a keepsake. And these journals tell the rest of the story. I would like to invite some young people to come forward to share parts of their journal entries with you. Come on up. Will you please introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Catherine.
I'm Jackie.
I'm Ben.
I'm Anna.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jackson.
In this journal, there are 3 things that seem to come up through it: work, the families, and our community. There are many kids that take part on this trip that are not directly members of our church family, but they go to the youth group or they're good friends to someone in our group. They may go to another church, they may live in another town. One of these youth is Catherine O'Brien. Catherine, would you share the first line of your journal?
Yeah. I'm so grateful that UCC has welcomed me into their community for the past 2 years to participate in the mission trip. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. You included two very powerful words, pride and humbleness. Can you share that?
The feelings of pride and humbleness are mixed into one emotion. Pride in seeing what you can accomplish, but humbleness in seeing the smile on the homeowners' faces.
Okay, Jackie. You gonna help me with this?
I'm going to help you with this.
This is really scary for me. But every morning, there's a special wake-up for the girls. Ready?
Yep. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Children of the Lord.
Thank you. That's the way the girls start every morning. I've heard the boys don't get quite as nice a start. Although one morning this past trip, I heard that Tony O'Brien sings this song to his kids. So he did sing Rise and Shine to the boys. And the girls actually like it. Okay, back to the journal. Jackie, you used the phrase that comes from our scripture today, faith in action. Would you share more?
When you're in high school, you're pretty much always caught up in thinking about your grades, what colleges you want to see, your social drama, whether people like you, how to keep track of your schedule, how time goes by so quickly, or how badly you want the class, the day, the year to be over. You get caught up in things that are insignificant and temporary. Yet somehow, when 4 van loads of us get shipped off to some other part of the country with no cell service, I get to break away from my fast-paced, anxiety-fueled life and rediscover myself by putting my often neglected faith into action.
Jackson, what the heck is a PRD? And why would this PRD hold a special place in your heart?
Well, usually with trips like this, and especially with such an emphatic group that we have, it's pretty much inevitable to come home with some pretty memorable anecdotes. And one of my favorites occurred one time on the work site when a team consisting of me, Meg Carlo, and Ian Swart grouped up together to put up drywall for one of the rooms. And it got to a point where we were putting up pieces of drywall that were just too high for us to reach. And so we called over our rather tall friend, Peter Audier. Thank you, Peter, to help us reach those high places. But after a while, it got kind of tough because we were taking him away from the jobs he was doing, and so we felt it was a little too impractical. So eventually, me, Meg, and Meg, went out and we built a little stool just with random pieces of wood that we found around the site. And we ended up naming the device and actually writing this on it, PRD, which stood for the Peter Replacement Device. And so it proved to be very handy around the work site, but it actually means a lot more to me because we ended up leaving the stool in one of the closets of the house afterwards for the family to use. And it's nice to know that we'll always have that connection. And even though they'll never know what PRD stands for, they'll always have that, and that means a lot to me.
Did you label it?
I did.
Oh, cool. Ben experienced some frustrations at the end of the week.
I don't think frustrations is the best word.
Oh, well, that would be the best. Go
see,
ahead.
you want me to, okay. So basically, a lot of our tasks to build one of these houses was to put up drywall. And this is a really big part. You can't do anything else to the house after the frame is done unless you put up the drywall first. So I really wanted to finish this because it took like at least a day for our whole group to get started and working really efficiently. And I knew that if we didn't finish it, the next group that came in would have to spend a little bit of time working on this. So on the last day that we had to work, there was just a few more pieces that we had to put up, but it was time for us to go. So I was a little disappointed. I just thought it'd be really great if we could finish such a huge part of the building process.
He wanted to work more hours. Got to give the kid credit. Okay, so you said you're not really dissatisfied about it, but how come?
Well, we live in North Reading, and I want to say that we're doing pretty well, all of us. And when I went to West Virginia, the first thing I noticed was that everything was really sparse and spread apart and really run down compared to what I see every day. So it's still really good that we get to go down and help at all. We're really lucky to live in North Reading.
Thank you, Ben. Jackie, you say there are two components to this trip. What are they?
This trip has two components, the physical work that we do building houses for families in need, and the bond we form as a family of our own. These encompass the amazing feeling of accomplishment that comes from screwing in the walls of a house that someone will rebuild their life in, and the absolute joy and serenity of singing and laughing with a group of people bursting at the seams with love.
Thank you. Anna. Anna, you talked about meeting the families.
Yeah, it was wonderful to meet the families who we were building the houses for, especially one in particular, the Sims family, who helped us build this and restore beside us. It was awesome to meet the kids who were there too, who they helped us too. They were all smiling and so happy we were helping them. And it was amazing to see how hard their life is and how they managed to keep a smile on their face throughout the whole experience.
Zach also wrote something about the family.
It was so nice to help all these families, especially one in particular, the Sims family had two little girls that came to the site with us one day and actually helped work on their own house, which made them so happy and just made the whole group happy to see how excited they were that we were helping them.
Okay. And Anna, there's also another part of this trip that I know we all like.
So in addition to building the houses, we had some fun. We went swimming in the rivers. We also went tubing in a river. And we went and walked in the Seneca Caverns, which was pretty cool. We also played a bunch of card games, and we played outside, in particular my favorite, Can Jam, which is a Frisbee game. And then we played cornhole and reconnected with new and old friends.
Zach, you had something to say about all the people on the trip, too.
Yeah, everybody on the trip just came so good, so close to each other and friends with everybody. I had talked to people who I never even knew went to my school. It just becoming close with everybody, even the adults like Tony, Sean, Andy, and Chuck, who even while they were ordering us around, we were all still becoming close.
Catherine, I want to go back to yours. You say in your journal that the manual labor that you put in cannot be compared to the amount of blessings you got back. Would you say the rest of that?
This trip allows you to grow mentally, socially, and most of all, spiritually. This trip was made to fulfill God's mission through us, and I believe that His plan for me during that week was completed.
And Jackson, one word in the whole journal popped out at me, and that word was agape. It was in your entry, and share.
Well, I think a very big component that's often overlooked about the mission trip is that the people who attend the mission trip go because they want to, and they're doing it out of their own hearts. And maybe at first they didn't really know what it was, and they were kind of just dragged along. Maybe an older sibling or someone from the church told them to do it. But once they actually go, they realize that they gain a lot and give a lot, and it means a lot to them what they're doing, and so they go on their own volition. And I think that kind of encompasses the fundamentals of what it really means to go on the mission trip. And agape is the word you mentioned, and that's a term that Reverend Hughes actually taught me a few years ago. And it is a type of love that is the most flawless love, and it's sacrificial. And I think that really summarizes the core components of the mission trip, and that we're all learning about each other, ourselves, and we're harnessing that agape love.
Thank you. Thank you all. Stay here. If anybody would like to borrow a journal to read more, see me, and I'll let you see just what all these young people have to say about their experience. In the scripture that Julie read this morning, James challenges us to put our faith into action. We put our faith into action by going to West Virginia and helping others. But in the process, we all found a deepening of our own faith. Wow.